In Montgomery, Alabama, 1955, the air was thick with humidity and unspoken rules. Each street a minefield for a black man like Elias Thorne. Tall and lean, his mahogany skin etched with grease from his mechanic shop, Elias carried a quiet dignity honed by years of navigating a world that demanded his caution. His hands, calloused from wrenches and engines, were his pride, crafting order in a life where control was scarce. Sarah Whitmore, meanwhile, lived in a world of manicured lawns and suffocating expectations. The daughter of Senator Whitmore, a Southern titan whose wealth rested on old traditions, she was a delicate figure in white dresses, her wild heart caged by etiquette and social calls. At night, restlessness consumed her, a yearning for something raw and real. Their worlds collided in a smoky basement jazz club, a hidden sanctuary where color lines blurred under saxophone wails and defiant rhythms. Sarah, slipping away from a stifling society gala, was drawn to the club's pulse. There, Elias stood alone, his quiet confidence a beacon in the crowd. Their eyes locked, sparking a reckless connection, dangerous, forbidden, inevitable. They talked until dawn, their words a rebellion against the rules that divided them. Elias was captivated by her audacity, Sarah by his strength and a world far from her own. Their secret romance bloomed in stolen moments, whispered calls, midnight drives, meetings in abandoned barns under starlit skies. Each encounter was a tightrope walk, thrilling and perilous. The illusion shattered one humid evening when Senator Whitmore's Cadillac rolled into Elias's garage. Sarah stood at the edge, her pale skin glowing under streetlights, laughing with Elias. Her father's face twisted with cold fury, his glare silencing her as he dragged her away. Hours later, a note slid under Elias's door. "Stay away or you'll regret it." The threat carried the weight of a man who could ruin lives with a phone call. Sarah, defiant, refused to be caged. In the dead of night they fled, boarding a northbound freight train with nothing but their clothes and their love. 4 days they huddled among crates, the train's clatter a reminder of no return. Sarah abandoned her name, her privilege. Elias carried the weight of his skin, a constant risk. They settled in a gritty Illinois mill town, where exhaustion dulled curiosity about a black man and white woman. A cramped boarding house room became their sanctuary. Elias worked grueling shifts at a steel mill, his hands now scarred by molten metal. Sarah, her delicate fingers roughening, stitched dresses as a seamstress. Their life was hard, but theirs, sealed with vows in a forgotten church, their love a quiet defiance. Their son, Isaac, arrived, a beacon of hope, followed by Margaret, a fearless daughter whose laughter filled their home. But Sarah carried a secret, a shadow from her past. A son, born when she was 16, taken by her father in a hushed adoption to bury a scandal. Holding Isaac, the pain resurfaced, a wound she buried but never healed. She never told Elias. The secret festered, making her distant, her eyes haunted. She'd stare into the distance, lost in thoughts of a child she'd never known. Elias, a man who respected silence, sensed the chasm growing. He saw her flinch at mentions of family, her smiles fading too quickly. He feared asking, dreading the truth that might unravel their fragile life. Years passed, their love strained but enduring, until a cruel illness struck Sarah. Her heart weakened, each breath a battle. Knowing her time was short, she could no longer carry the weight alone. One evening, as the sun bled into the horizon, Sarah confessed. Her voice trembled as she spoke of her doubts in their early days, seeking escape more than love, of the money she'd hidden, fearing they'd fail, and of her first son, stolen by her father's power. "I came to love you truly," she whispered, tears falling, "more than I thought possible." The truth hung heavy, a devastating silence. Elias's grief was complex, mourning not just Sarah, but the love story he'd believed untainted. Had he been her refuge or her heart's choice? The question haunted him. Sarah's death left a deafening void. Elias, raising Isaac and Margaret alone, wrestled with her secrets. One night, sorting through her things, he found a yellowed envelope, the handwriting unfamiliar. Inside, a brutal note. "Your son is looking for you." His hands shook. A child, out there, searching for a mother now gone. Sarah had carried this alone, and now Elias bore the weight. He thought of Isaac's laughter, Margaret's fearless spirit. If they'd been taken, he'd want to know. The past he'd outrun now demanded reckoning. Elias hired a private investigator, a grizzled man named Amos, who traced the adoption records to a Chicago orphanage. The boy, now a young man named Samuel, had grown up in foster homes, his questions about his mother unanswered. Elias found him working at a factory, his face a mirror of Sarah's. Same wild eyes, same restless spirit. Samuel was wary, hardened by years of rejection, but Elias approached with quiet resolve. "I was her husband," he said, handing over the envelope. "She never stopped thinking of you." Their meeting was tentative, raw. Samuel listened as Elias shared Sarah's story, their love, their flight, her regrets. He showed him photos of Isaac and Margaret, proof of the family he'd never known. Samuel's anger softened, replaced by a fragile hope. Elias invited him to their home, where Isaac and Margaret welcomed him, their curiosity outweighing the strangeness. Over time, Samuel became part of their lives, his presence a bridge to Sarah's memory. Elias's journey didn't erase the pain of her secrets, but it honored her love. He'd faced a world that tried to break them, building a life not just for himself, but for the children, Sarah's and his own. The note, the truth, the son, they were her final gift, a promise he kept. In their small home, filled with laughter and healing, Elias found peace, not in escaping the past, but in embracing it, a testament to a love that defied every rule and survived every scar.